alive is probably not the best term because the doors are locked, so the general public is not allowed in. At this point, it's late at night.
You're over-explaining.
Yeah, I know.
Tailwaters after dark.
It's Tailwaters after dark.
Yes.
Yes.
People pay good money for anything that
Exactly.
says after dark, I think.
Exactly.
And Lord knows you have.
Lord knows you have. That's for sure.
No.
A place called
Jordan.
Tailwaters.
What's if they have to revert back to me?
We are here with our buddy Sean,
Hello.
and the whole crew's back from trips. Cameron just came back from out-of-state fishing trip. He looks in one piece. I'm not sure if he is, though.
Definitely not.
He got
Definitely
a sandwich
not.
from a bum.
He bought a sandwich from a bum. That's all we can say,
No.
people.
He bartered.
He
We'll
bartered.
discuss that.
Yeah, I'm not quite
He
sure.
said, "Give me $10. I'll give you this sandwich." It's like it's a good deal.
Hell of a deal, friend.
I just need to know, like,
What
how
would
did
he give
this?
you for $12?
Yeah, what? Where's
Oh,
this?
the rest of the foot
were you
long?
It would come with sides.
were you walking into the sandwich
Extra
shop
meat.
and
Got a foot long with extra meat for $12.
it was this is
This is
how we get off track, and this is why
Sorry.
on our live podcast there will be adults in
It's
charge
my
of this
fault. It's
podcast.
not my fault.
B-roll.
Oh.
It doesn't matter. None of it matters.
No, he
Does
was
not
like,
matter.
he said he needed $10 to go, like to the shelter
Okay,
or whatever.
Okay.
So
I'm going to interrupt, and I apologize.
go ahead.
I understand him asking for $10, but then him saying, "I'll give you said
No,
sandwich." and
he was
"Cool."
he was standing outside Jimmy John's.
I don't care.
And I went inside.
How
I
did
went
he get- why
inside
didn't he
Jimmy
save the
John's
$10
and
from-
bought the sandwich.
Then resold it. So he's a sandwich broker.
Dude,
Why doesn't he have a better job than being homeless?
And I got
this guy needs to
jet.
figure. He's taking sandwiches and turn them
he's
into
brokering
dollars.
Jimmy John's sandwiches.
It's a Jimmy John's reseller.
Exactly. I'm
He's
pretty
the-
sure.
He's the.
Do you think he took his?
He's the Tuesday
sales
morning
tax
of
and
Jimmy
stashed
John's
away?
sandwiches.
What was the markup on that sandwich?
I know.
I mean, I want to get wholesale on Jimmy John's.
Exactly. What did you get this guy's number at least, or
Oh,
He was homeless.
He doesn't have a number, you dick.
he's got? I mean, he's
Hence being
sounds like he's
homeless.
doing pretty well broken Jimmy John sandwiches. You know.
Was that factory direct on Jimmy John's?
Exactly.
Factory direct.
It's like the dump, but for sandwiches.
Jesus.
He almost
Factory
got you.
direct, factory discounts, something. Okay, back on track.
Well, it's starting off pretty rough, as you guys can tell. It's all postseason hunting. It's all postseason now. We're talking what was and what wasn't last week, and now we're talking about fishing and all things that we're getting ready for. And so we thought, where else to go? Who else to talk to than Sean? So thank you for having us again, man.
Oh, glad to have you guys out here.
So what have you been up to? You were mentioning some, before we dive headlong into fishing, you were mentioning kind of your wrap-up of your first year of bow hunting. So
Yeah, so this is my first year with the bow. And really my first year to actually hunt deer.
yeah,
It's always been in the past. It's like, oh, you want to go shoot a deer? Well, we're going to put you in this blind. The feeder's going to go off. You pick you a nice one, pull the trigger. We'll box her up and ship her home. So like this year, I actually hunted public land for the first time with the bow. Almost closed the deal. Not quite though. And then got to actually hunt a buddy's ranch. So I did harvest my first bow kill. And then got my butt handed to me in Oklahoma 2 days ago on some deer, but good learning experience. And now it's on to pigs for the next few months, all to get ready for next October.
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That is definitely the way to do it. Is one little experience at a time. So, what do you think the biggest thing you learned from was? What was the worst thing you did, and what was the best thing you did?
The worst thing I did was probably not waiting for the shot that I needed,
Okay.
rushing things. And actually that's kind of what happened on Sunday morning. Is had a doe coming in from my left and drew back and then saw two other deer and Instead of waiting for that one doe to make her appearance, I took a shot at the other two and ended up hitting a branch and scaring everything away. And then I guess the best experience was actually learning how to start reading sign, tracking, looking for all those clues that tell you, okay, this is where you should expect to find some animals. So dialing in that woodsmanship, so to speak.
Sounds like a pretty fun experience then.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Somebody asked me, so what's it like? And I said, it's like trying to learn how to fly fish all over again. So, I mean, it's been 20 plus years since I picked up a fly rod and started this whole pursuit that I've gone down, and this is reminiscent of that all over again, which has been super exciting, and looking forward to more of it. And it's become that newest obsession.
Yeah, easily turns into that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
When you kind of start looking at it from a standpoint of like, okay, there's nowhere for me to no guidance at all outside of some helpful tips from people and friends. But when you put the stand on your back and your bow in your hand and you're in the parking lot and you're like, oh, all right, let's go figure it out. It is pretty a fun adventure to get into.
And as much as I hate the term localvore,
yeah,
I mean, that's really kind of what it's become all right, what can I put in the freezer to support my wife and I?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's because I love to cook. I mean, that's really my other thing that I love to do besides fish and hunt is I love to cook, and this has been a whole cool experience. All right, what can I do with this deer? I mean, my whole thing is like bullet to the plate, or I guess now it's arrow to the plate. It's take it, clean it, butcher it myself. There is no butcher, there's no processor. It's just me, my bow, and that deer. And
a lot of time.
As soon as we leave here, I've got venison stew sitting in the crock pot at home, so I've kind of got that to look forward to. So we can wrap it up here pretty quick.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that sounds excellent. So, what have you other boys been up to? You went duck hunting this weekend, didn't you?
Yep. Most weekends. We've hit the last handful of weekends.
How was the experience duck hunting at your new spot? There's some funny stories about that.
This weekend or last? I mean, they were both. It's always fun. We had a great time. It's first year of kayak duck hunting.
Yeah.
Jordan's had a kayak. I've had mine a little over a year now.
Yeah, a little over a year.
Yeah. And that was one of the main reasons I bought it was, obviously to fish out of, but it was to duck hunt, and finally got to put it to use toward the end of this season.
When's duck season over?
Last weekend of this month. So we got two weekends left. We've been hitting our local spot for the last couple weeks. It's good. A ton of birds, way better than the spot we've been hitting for last 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
Way more birds. Super cool. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
There's so many options out there of landscape and whatnot.
I even think the coverage we get there is better.
Yeah,
There's something that I noticed right off the bat is we were able to hide better than we could at our other spot.
Yeah, there's just different opportunities. You know?
Yeah, definitely. This place is a multi-faceted hangout. That's for sure. We like going there for sure. So, well, then Jordan, you were duck hunting with Austin.
Are you baiting?
He's been baiting. No one's bit yet.
I'm just like, all right, let's switch to this lure and see what happens. And
Well, I knew he was baiting you. I just was seeing if he's baiting. It's already trying to bait me. That's,
He's gonna nibble for a minute.
yeah, exactly.
I would have taken the bait.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, my friend.
You want me to tell the story?
Absolutely. You were the observer. There's probably a GoPro video of it too.
There is.
Start to finish. I want you to tell the whole story from 4:30 on. 4:30 Saturday morning on.
4:30?
Yes, sir.
So I woke up.
What time were we gonna meet? 5:30.
We're going to meet at 5:30. So I've been up for a while. Been in the car already for a good minute by 4:30. Was getting out there and I get a text. It goes, "Hey man, where you at?" I'm like, "Well, I'm almost there." "What do you mean?" "Well, I'm probably about 20 minutes out." "All right, well, I'm gonna be a little late."
I said 5 or 10 minutes because my garage door was being weird. That was legitimate. Continue.
So
all the cliff notes.
Then I'm getting there, and Austin's always really good at calling me at the most inopportune time. Because I've only been out here a few times, so I'm using my GPS to get there, which is on my phone. And he calls me like maybe a few miles from my turn. So I don't know where I'm supposed to be turning really. So I'm driving. He's, where you at? Well, I'm about to turn into the parking lot. He's like, well, so I'm going to be a little later than I thought before.
I'm going to be a little later than a little late.
This is 5 o'clock.
Yeah, this is around 5 o'clock. I go, well, all right. He goes, well, I forgot my waders.
I was halfway there.
Oh.
It's an hour. It's right under an hour drive.
When was this?
Saturday morning.
This weekend.
Because I was driving, going through the checklist in my head, like, all right, as soon as we hit the water, this and this is here. Just running, I'm OCD about that. Like, just kind of checking everything off in my head while I'm driving. And I went, holy shit, my waders are hanging right above my dehumidifier. Because I remember looking at them, I was like, oh, I'll throw these in a minute, let me load the boat. Yeah. So
I get there, and he was like, you can go ahead and just paddle out to the spot. And I'm like, well, I really don't know where I'm going.
I said I would send you pins on Onyx.
Right. But
Onyx
Really
maps.
nice to do.
and it was
Onyx
really,
maps.
Well, out there. from
Cough,
my-
Cameron, cough.
Well,
Continue, I'm sorry.
off mic conversations.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Exactly.
So I get there, and I get all my stuff unloaded. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting in my Jeep, waiting. Guys pull up. Guys.
Sean uses Onyx maps too. He was just
I do.
putting it in Cameron's
Yeah.
face. Continue, Jordan. We apologize again.
Tima's got better mapping.
Anyways, so
No one's taking that bait.
yeah.
Continue.
So people are showing up, unloading their boats. I'm sitting there waiting. Finally, Austin pulls up. We get him unloaded, get on the water. We start paddling out there, and we're paddling, and make it to our spot. We figure it out, throw everything out there, and I guess really one thing that was kind of my mess up is I thought you had my mojos, but our other buddy had them. And Austin's like, grab your mojos and I'll grab my decoys. So we go out there, set all the stuff up, and I go, so where's the mojos? And he goes, well, you're supposed to grab yours. Well, I don't have mine. So
It's going
Daylight-
swimmingly. So
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
No, I mean it's that.
It's
we
not a
don't
big
need
deal.
three.
Yeah.
We don't need 3 mojos. It's just we want a rabbit trail for a second. Had a buddy hunt that spot Wednesday and Thursday morning this past week. Ran to a guy who was a fisheries biologist in East Texas. Wednesday morning, he ended up hunting with this dude. They didn't run any mojos and crushed it. Like, had him decoying up. Then he said Thursday morning he had his mojo out. He didn't have it out, and they weren't decoying hard. Then he put it out, and they were just hitting it. So it's
Yeah.
really situation dependent, especially this late in the season. Some of them have seen everything and are like, no, screw that. I'm not touching that thing. And other ones are like, holy shit. So it's really situation dependent. We didn't need all 3. I just was under the assumption he had his. And continue.
Right. I was just trying to make it sound like I did do one thing that was a little bit offbeat. I was trying to.
I'll take all the blame for this one.
But we get there, and
Such a team player.
super cold, and we were tromping through ice, breaking through ice, getting to this spot, and got everything all set up. We sit down, hunker in, and the whole time the sun's already started rising. We're already in shooting time.
We sat down behind the little blind we had, spread built. Shooting hour was 7 on the dot, and we sat down behind that blind at 6:58 because I was running so late. Which I'm trying to sit behind a blind at 30 minutes prior to shoot the shit and fuck with your GoPro and drink coffee. And no, it was my waders. That was my fault.
And I think that was right when we hunkered down. That was the first, drop of the gun, bloop, all the way down.
Oh,
And I hear,
shit.
I hear the splash, and I look over, and Austin's digging through the mud and everything.
Oh my God.
Pulls up his gun, dumps out the barrel. Man, whatever. We're sitting there. A few flew by. We're still, shaking up from trying to get in there and get set
We
up.
pulled the
and all
trigger.
that.
You don't have to
And-
dance around it. We
and,
both shot at them.
Right. No, the first ones that flew by we didn't shoot at. Then we saw some other ones soon after. Pull the trigger at those. I definitely whiffed those, but I mean they were screaming by.
Mm-hmm. These are
I mean,
wood duck.
It would have been a good shot if one of us would have hit him. And then we're sitting there, and like what you see, picturesque, what everybody shows, any video, like you didn't even have to use a slow motion on a video. Mallard comes in, it's coming straight for us, come right at us. I mean, it was. What do you think it was? 15 yards off.
Our spread was 20 yards out, and
You
it was
think- you think it
sitting.
was that
It was
far?
sitting
Okay.
right above, just high and left of our mojo, which was 20 yards out.
Okay, so about 20 yards out. That's not very far. In case you.
It's not very far.
You know,
You can kill
I thought it was
things.
closer,
That's a real easy kill with an arrow, much as a shotgun.
So we're sitting there and we're watching this thing come in. I mean, it's decoying perfect. Like I said, picturesque. The landing gear come down, puts on the brakes, and I swear this thing was hovering there. Wasn't going down, wasn't going up, wasn't going left, wasn't going right. This thing was like perfectly right there. If it was a
Textbook.
It was a softball.
I don't know that
sitting
I've
on
ever
a-
had a duck
It was
decoy
a-
that hard before. It was
and
perfect.
And it was a nice sized mallard. I mean,
Meaty bastard.
yeah, it was pretty big. I mean, pretty big target, like the side of a barn or something like that. And I look,
All these descriptors just continue.
and I'm like, Grinch, take it. And he gets up, pulls the trigger, bam, bam, bam. And he swore there was feathers floating. I don't know.
There was
but,
feathers.
But that thing just flew off like it wasn't even bothered. It was like, oh, that's not a cool place to be. I'm gonna go over here. And I'm sitting there just looking at this.
What's going on?
And I tried one time but I was so amazed that it did not go down. I swear
I'm
you
still
probably hit it
amazed.
and wounded it, but
I'm
like
still amazed.
it wasn't even like you were shooting like number 2. So I mean, if you did hit it, it was gonna go
was
down.
gone.
It was going down.
But I mean, there were some feathers floating in the water afterwards. You were like, "Look, I hit it," but I think those feathers were there.
I put those decoys out. They were not there, sir.
He carries a bag of feathers in his pocket. So you're like,
I'm like the flower girl, but not.
yeah. It's like a dude you play golf with who hits it in the woods and kicks it out on the
Yeah, when I
fairway,
kill
like,
other
"Oh,
ducks,
it
I just
bounced
fill my
back."
wader pockets up with feathers. Like, no, see, I gave it a haircut. I almost had her.
Oh my god.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Whiffed it. That was T-ball.
Yeah.
I swung at a ball on a tee 3 times and missed it. That's the best analogy for that situation.
And missed.
And you didn't even
I was
hit the
so
tee.
pissed
you
off.
didn't even hit the tee.
No.
I mean, like, some kids at least
I-
miss
it was-
and like hit the tee and at least
Yeah.
rolls out a little bit, and they're like, "You got it, kid. Go for
Yeah,
it."
good job. You can take a base.
Yeah.
Get out of here,
No.
kid.
What choke are you shooting?
What-
Hardcore choke, it sounds like.
Are you shooting a turkey choke?
Absolutely not.
It's pretty good.
So that gun is a 24-inch barrel. So I think I'm shooting improved modified.
You are.
I can't remember
You are.
because I got my other one choked up different.
It's a good choke.
Sounds like you need more improvement.
Nice.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
I was trying to give you a good excuse.
Well played, sir.
I tried to.
Touche.
I don't even want excuses. Like
I gave him some
screwed
excuses
that
while
up
we were
real
out there.
bad.
It was the
I-
hole in the spread.
Jordan
where the
had
wad,
his GoPro
you know,
next to us, facing kind of across our blind, and there's all kinds of video, and he accidentally left it inverted because it was hung under the drone prior.
fine.
So I haven't flipped it yet to watch it, but I know I stand up at one point and probably throw my gun after that. Like I stood up yelling afterward.
At that point, that was the second drop.
There was only 3.
There was 5.
No,
There
there
was
wasn't.
5
There
drops
was
of
not.
water.
I didn't drop my gun in the lake 5 times.
What? Remember we talked about this. There's 4 that went completely underwater.
No, there was
there
3.
Was one,
There was
there was
3.
one that the barrel was still sitting outside the water.
You were awful on your guns.
It's fine.
Hey,
I use
it's a
lithium
stoner.
axle grease to lube at the beginning and end of every season for that reason. Cause I don't.
but
it's
the
fine.
cold
Everything's
water
fine.
actually bent the barrel because it is shooting to the right.
I never said that
Yeah.
I never said it was a reasonable miss. It was just a miss. There was. I think it's shooting right though. I really do.
We'll have to put it on paper before we start turkey hunting.
Absolutely.
Or you'll just have to let it come in a little bit more.
Well, what to 5 yards?
Like I'm
You
not
have
even
to get one of those
I'm
turkey-
just gonna hit it with the barrel. Whack. To be sneaky
got-
shit and sneak
I
up
got
and
it with
whack
a
it.
shotgun.
I'm gonna hold it by the barrel and hit it with the butt.
Yeah, there
Whack.
you go.
I mean that still
Pistol
counts
with
as
it.
killing it with a shotgun,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I think you
God.
probably have some like solid like
Man.
evidence to stand on if the game warden comes and checks you and you're like, what happened to this turkey's head? It looks more blunt force trauma than
I hit it with my shotgun.
yeah. I mean, technically,
shotgun
I guess
hunt,
it's means and method, means and ways or whatever. You know?
Yeah, and I used a shotgun.
To bludgeon it to death.
I used a shotgun.
I think they wouldn't even be mad. They'd just be
I'm not even
impressed.
mad. I'm just amazed.
Just impressed. Well, it sounds like an interesting trip for sure. So, have we decided, was it 3, 4, or 5 times that the water hit? Let's just count hit the water.
7.
It's growing.
Oh, hit the water?
Yeah.
At least 7.
Oh, wow.
Like we were okay. He's forgetting to mention that we were kneeling all morning, like on one knee, and it was above our waists. Yeah. So it's not like we're standing in ankle deep water, just hanging out, and I'm just like, bloop, 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 like soap in the shower. Like we're
Or was
between waist and tit deep, and so the gun's wet all the time. It's
Yeah.
fine.
How many times did my shotgun go in the water?
How many times did you pull the trigger? I was trying to do work, son. I don't buy bullets to take them home.
Oh,
Oh, I do.
That's weird.
that is weird.
You miss every shot you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, right?
Michael So, good story. Good story. Good story. Cameron, your turn for the bait. Where have you been? What have you been doing?
So, my dad likes to go up to Missouri to do a little fly fishing at the Roaring River, and so he's been trying to get me to go for a couple months, and it's been deer season and can't go. I'm doing this weekend, so told him we'd go this weekend. We drove up on Thursday night, got in about 1:30 that morning, and man, we wore them out. We probably caught 20 apiece a day. Dad caught a toad and little brownie. He's probably, God, I don't know, 7-8 pounds.
Oh wow.
And they're. I said I wasn't gonna dog this place. I'm not gonna dog it. They're all stalkers, and it's a good place to go and practice.
Pen raised.
Yes. And it's a really good place to introduce somebody to fly fishing. You can walk up. You don't have to have waders. You don't have to have the best gear. You can drive up, walk up, and start fishing and catch fish. I probably would have. I was talking to Sean about this today. Probably would have gone somewhere in Arkansas for that distance. Get some free range trout.
Some free range.
How far was it? How far of a drive is it?
6 hours.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Is that you can drive to Missouri and go fish the state parks and Taneycomo up there for stock trout. I mean, they stock them some places once a day, once a week.
Damn.
But you drive right over the Little Red, the North Fork, and the White River to get there. Which those 3 rivers are some of the best brown trout fisheries in the country. And you drive right over them to go fish Missouri.
Mm-hmm. The world
Going out of
record-
your way.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. World record brown was at Little Red.
Yeah.
Still holds it.
No. Two brothers in Michigan have since bested it.
Okay.
With two different fish.
Hmm.
But that's the whole thing. Is like northern Arkansas trout fishing is phenomenal.
Yep.
And I hear guys go to Missouri all the time. I'm like, you passed great fisheries, world-class fisheries to go to Missouri. But I get it. Like, that's what Cam said, that, if you just want to go catch fish, yeah, Missouri's a great place to go. Arkansas, you can get your butt handed to you pretty easily. Some days they're on, some days it's off. But, if you want to catch some big fish, Arkansas is where to do it. I mean, one of my favorite things to go up there at night, and actually this time of year in the winter, spring, night fish with big mice patterns and catch 20, 25-inch brown trout
I want to
wow.
do that.
on
bad.
top waters.
That I want to do.
That'd
that.
be awesome.
Horribly bad.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far of a drive is that? Like 4 hours?
No, I'd
What
say
river?
this is on the white.
So you're.
I'd really
5
probably
hours.
say 7.
That's
mean,
not bad.
Yeah, it's driving up to Little Rock is pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's the Little Rock to up to
The rest of the
Mountain
way.
Home.
Yeah.
Is all right now. It's back road, windy, twisty mountain roads. So it
I
takes
heard
a little bit
banjos.
longer.
Keep going.
It's not that bad. It's not like going to Oklahoma.
Oh, that's true.
Oh gosh, it's horrible.
Yeah, driving back roads to
Broken,
Oklahoma.
I like going to Broken Bow.
Yeah, but southeast Oklahoma at 4 in the morning on back roads.
Yeah.
It's a little methy.
Good
Absolutely.
chance you're in.
So is East Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so-
but I
so
but
is
I have
East
a
Texas.
but
You
for
never
me,
did go to
flavor.
Tawakoni with us.
being from Texas doesn't freak me out like Oklahoma does. Oklahoma, like, oh crap.
Oh, man.
I hope I don't see somebody on the side of the road.
Oh, God.
Just keep driving.
Head down.
So,
Stay
yeah,
focused.
Exactly.
Kansas is near.
That is it. So
No, we had fun though.
no, that's cool, man.
Caught a
You-
lot of fish. I mean, Dad. So here's a rabbit trail for you, and I know how Sean feels about this because I've bugged him about it. But Dad's on this Euro nymphing kick. Yeah, Sean snickers.
You two are the only fly fishers in the bunch.
Yeah.
So you can embellish on that idea all you want.
So do you know what nymphing is? It's
just go start. I mean, I can
it's
guess.
subsurface. Okay, so it's just subsurface flies, right?
Mhm.
yeah, you're
Basically.
fishing flies
Yeah.
that imitate the aquatic.
Yeah, the
Life.
pre-hatch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the aquatic bugs that
Mhm.
haven't hatched and grown to adults and fly
Yeah.
above the water. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
bugs below the surface.
Sure.
So it's the idea
I
of
got you.
fishing a nymph without an indicator, or for people from Texas, a
A
bobber.
So yeah, so you've got this, and so a typical fly rod's 8.5, 9 feet long.
I think
These nymphing rods are now 10, 11 feet in length, and they've got these long leaders, and they've got these multiple fly rigs. And to break it down to layman's terms, it's like using a cane pole is a good way to
Yeah.
describe it.
Yeah.
Cane pole with flies,
Mm-hmm.
which goes into a whole nother rabbit hole, which is tenkara fishing. But that's a whole other conversation. But that's been the big thing, is like, oh, we're going to go Euro nymphing. And I'm like, dude, come on, you're just freaking nymphing.
Why is it called
Done.
Euro nymphing?
Say what?
Because it came from Europe.
I mean,
Oh.
I know, it's a stretch.
Yeah.
But that's where so there is a competitive
Thanks.
fly fishing.
I'm drinking
Oh.
Canadian water.
So there's whole
Canada.
competitive
Says
fly
Kroger.
fishing, which is big over in Europe. It's starting to filter to the States a little bit, but they have like these national fly fishing teams in Poland and Czechoslovakia and France and Italy and Spain. And so the Czechs were the first one to kind of do this type of fishing.
Yeah.
And the guys that are good at it can freaking clean up. It's
Yep.
amazing that these dudes can pick a pot. They can take a stretch of water and pick it apart and catch every fish in there. But it's effective. But you hear these guys and they're just like totally fixed on, oh, I want to learn how to check nymph or Euro nymph. And you're like, dude, it's just freaking nymph without an indicator. It's not like some rocket science or
Yeah,
anything.
just
Right.
take the bobber off.
Take the bobber off, and then they've got these intricate formulas. But the main thing is that they take, instead of using an indicator, which as Cam said is like a bobber, what they're actually doing is taking a piece of leader material that's a different color. It can
Okay.
be red, it can be chartreuse line.
Okay.
Or they take, now they've got, it's kind of like a zebra color that they've got red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, length of line. So instead of having the traditional bobber, now they've got a piece of leader or fishing line, and that's what they're using
It's still
as
a
an
form of
it's
an
still an
indicator.
indicator.
Yeah.
So it's
So
just
it's-
another
it
way
floats.
of an indicator.
Yeah,
It's
It
a
just
floating.
floats.
It's a floating
Yeah.
leader.
yeah, exactly.
Basically.
So it's
So
But
just
yeah.
put your bobber back on.
pretty much.
Basically.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way that works.
I can see that like where it would be effective, but I'm not even close to good enough to.
It sounds like it's just one of those things that's like another trick. You know, you've got all
So-
these tools
Right.
in your
Yeah,
tool
it's just
belt,
another
and it's
tool.
just that's all it
certain,
really is.
Certain
I will-
situations, I could see it being very effective, but like where we went, I mean, those fish,
What were you fishing?
a bobber.
Good man.
No, I'll be the first to admit that fly fishermen love to take something simple and make it complicated. I mean, there are thousands of fly fishing books written by dudes that just want to impress you with how much they know about something, and it confuses everybody. And people trying to get into the sport, they pick up one of those books and go, "Holy shit, this is too complicated. I'm going to go back to using my spinning rod."
Exactly.
Really, it's one of
It's
the most
not that
detrimental things
hard.
there could be to the sport is the guys that try to spout how much info there is, and the whole Euro nymphing to me is kind of in that vein. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're taking something simple and make it complicated just to impress your buddies, and there's no
Cool
need
word.
for it. Yeah. Euro nymphing.
It's
Yeah.
yeah,
But I'm an American. We're gonna make America great again.
exactly.
There's
MAGA.
It's
Nymphing.
American nymphing.
Bobber
It's-
nymphing.
MAGA nymphing.
I like to get guides every now and then, and you're like, well, that's like that's a bobber like we catfish with, and they look at you like they just want to
Oh
kill
God, I
you.
can't imagine.
Fantastic.
Just to see.
Like go to Yellowstone
that would be
or something,
worth
and
just
it's
to
like,
pull somebody
well,
off
it's just a
sides.
bobber, and they're like,
No, sir. It's an indicator. Watch your mouth.
veins start
Yeah.
popping out of their head.
I brought me some cut shad, and
Y'all got catfish in this
Yeah.
river?
I bet you got some channels in here. You boys ain't found them yet.
Can we go noodling?
What's your favorite brand of fillet knife?
Exactly.
And there's another river.
Abe's is dull as shit. I know that. God.
Hey man,
It's okay.
that's like sitting in a fishing crate that I haven't used in 6 months. I have no excuse.
No.
My knife was
It
dull.
was a good try though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it happens. You know, sometimes you just can't be the excellent.
We were using it to hack up that deer.
We were using it to hack up that deer, which
I've
was.
healed up since that.
You did cut yourself three
Twice.
times, 2 times,
Twice, pretty
yeah.
good.
Good safety tip. A sharp knife, less cuts.
No. Like I cut him with my own knife, which is sharp as shit. Like
I know.
Yeah.
My knife wouldn't have cut him. It just drug it across his finger, and he'd be like, "Oh, I got a rope burn.
stings real
It
bad.
stings real bad."
That's going to blister.
Oh, well, that video is in the process of coming out. It's
excited.
just we're working on getting all the video edited together. So
I hope
Um,
it turns out well.
yeah,
It'll look
it's,
good.
It's gonna look good. Yeah, it's good. Informative.
It was a long day.
was a very long day.
3:30 to midnight.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was my day.
that was a long day. It was good, you know, from a standpoint of like covering all our bases.
We got things done.
We went deer hunting, we went duck hunting, we cut up a bunch of meat, and we podcasted all in one.
We
foul
showed your
swoop
wife
of the
how many
day.
beers we can drink. Also,
We did.
sir.
That's your favorite game.
Because
is-
everybody wins. You just go for the
Everybody.
high score.
Except my wife. Well, she kind of won because you did leave the house eventually. So,
And I brought her wine.
oh, and she drank wine. That's right.
I brought her wine.
That's right. That's right. Which I made a pork tenderloin with what was left of that.
Well done.
Well,
What's next on the docket?
I don't know. What is next on the docket?
What's next for us? Deer season's over. Duck season's about
Turkey
to
season.
wrap up.
Turkey
Next
season's coming
season,
up,
next
fishing.
weekend's wood ducks in East Texas. The following weekend, I
Wait,
do.
next weekend? This weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to East Texas.
This upcoming weekend?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You said you're going fishing.
Well, I know we had talked about going to the farm for some woodies.
Yeah, I said I was booked till the end of this. We have to wait because I'm booked.
Oh.
I said if you want to burn vacation days, go in the middle of the week. I'm your guy.
Yeah, I can't do that. Sorry.
Well, 2017 fall it is. 18.
We'd have
This
to
is
sneak
18
around
now.
my dad, though, because he likes his wood ducks. Be like, Dad, we killed a wood duck. I think he'd cry.
What if we shot a bunch of pigs, and then we're like, hey,
Now you're talking.
5 pigs are dead.
So
Exactly.
they probably would. They absolutely
They're
I
very
saw a
if they
detrimental.
could.
video
I mean,
the other day.
they would eat
of
them if there was a dead
pigs
wood duck.
eating a deer.
Yeah, that went on. That was going around. I
Yeah.
saw that. I was
There's
amazed.
There's a picture that floats around of a big boar carrying a fawn off.
Yeah.
That floated around for a while there.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. I
Yeah.
think we got that. And
If
turkey
only there
season.
was a device to be
They're
able to
unchecked.
shoot them at night.
They're unchecked.
Wish I knew somebody.
If only we knew someone.
We may do some night
Yep.
for pigs. For
Obviously.
any person out there. So
Maybe some predators like raccoons.
So, Oklahoma, you don't need a license to hunt hogs, and
Nuh-uh.
What?
yeah, they don't hunt license for hogs in Oklahoma. And I might know a place in Oklahoma we go hunt some hogs.
Well,
I like it.
It's got a nice,
you've
like,
piqued all our interest, sir.
3/4 mile long straight stretch of road with nothing on it, with hog tracks crossing it. It's a nice little shooting
Is there
lane.
you sit in the truck, or you sit in a blind, or just
Yeah, we
sit?
sit in the
sit,
truck.
sit on the tailgate and drink beer?
Yes, sir.
Well, I've got
It's
a
the
night
best
vision
part about
optic.
hogs.
We got a place.
I've got a suppressor,
We got a place.
so we can shoot all the things we want.
I think they call that a sendero down in South Texas.
They do.
I don't know what they call it in
Absolutely. No.
Oklahoma, but
Sendero is
Yeah.
an applicable term.
we can
I
make that
understand it.
happen.
Yeah. Well, sold.
All right. Bueno.
When
Wait till it warms up a little bit, and we can sit there all night.
That's true.
Yeah, when it's like 70 at midnight, that's the perfect time to pig hunt. You sit there till you're like, I'm drunk. Let's go to bed.
I think all you have to do in Oklahoma for the nighttime pig hunt is you've got to get the permit, but I think it's just you just ask for the permit and they give it to you. The way I understand it, you just have to, and that's just so that the game warden knows that hey,
There's people. Doing
there's
things.
people out
Yeah.
there. I think you have to get the permit, and then you call the game warden and say, hey, this is where I'm gonna be pig hunting tonight,
Yeah.
and that's it.
In
But-
Texas, it's about the same way. If you're hunting pigs at night, you're
Yeah.
supposed to let the local game warden know, so they're not thinking somebody's
That's
posting.
it.
Yeah,
Courtesy
exactly.
Yeah, it's- yeah,
thing.
courtesy
It
call.
is
But the
absolutely.
great thing is in Oklahoma, you don't have to buy the hunting license.
That's-
So because we're all
Outstate.
Texans and
Mhm.
non-residents, yeah, there's no $300 hunting license.
Perfect.
That's just
that's awesome.
go.
which is nice. Very nice. Very nice.
They're nice.
High five.
We'll make that happen.
Absolutely.
I'm ready to slay some
How
pigs.
about you, Pa?
And then turkey,
Turkey.
which I want to go hunt
God.
Whitney this year. Maybe we'll be less met with less meth heads
Yeah.
than we
Caddo,
were
if we go
at
to the north
Caddo.
side of Caddo, I'm in. But south side, I'm out.
Yeah.
Too close to meth town.
On the south side of Caddo? Like
we
the
had-
south unit?
So there's like two
Yeah,
camping
yeah.
spots.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
He's talking about at the north unit on the south side of that north unit. I
Oh,
think.
okay. Because
Have you there? If you go to,
I was deer hunting the south unit this
there's
past fall.
supposed to be some amazing deer hunting there. I've never deer
I
hunted.
didn't see shit.
It was
I didn't
awful.
see-
Don't go.
Dude, it's not worth it.
That's
Don't
fine. I believe you. Don't go there.
Totally not worth the time.
So
Yeah.
Nothing there.
there's two
Nothing
camping
there.
spots,
Trust me.
like grounds where you
Okay.
can set up camps.
Yeah.
There's one on the north side, one on the south side. There's only two I know of. If anybody can correct me otherwise. You've been out there?
It's too primal.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. There's two. I should say primals, because there's other ones
Yeah.
that have like concrete slabs and
Right.
and picnic benches. This is
All
a
them
field
fancy
says you
people.
can camp here,
Okay.
and you can basically.
Yeah, we
pull your-
camped at the north side.
we camped
last
south
year.
side last year and had incidents, and I'm just kind of done with it. So north side, or I'm out of it.
We saw no one on the north side at all, except in
We
the
got my
morning.
truck buried axles deep in the mud, and had to go find a farmer to drag us
He
out.
was not very impressed.
He
with
was
us.
not impressed with us at all.
I'm sure not.
God.
Did you cover them tattoos up, boy?
No, we were covered in mud. Like, fuck the tattoos. Like, we were neck deep in mud.
Y'all gonna get my international tractor dirty.
Yeah, it was bad.
Ugh.
But no, what? Is your microphone on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's on.
Okay.
Dad stuck the tractor like 2 weeks ago, like a big tractor.
How?
Your poor dad.
So you've seen the
Does
farm.
he listen
Yep.
to this podcast?
No.
Let's say because he's gonna beat your ass.
He's gonna
if you tell the
beat-
story.
We're gonna be grounded, Cameron.
Yeah, us going to the farm. Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
So we've got like a 3-4 acre lake at the farm.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
we put bass in it. And so a couple
Why are
years
you just now telling me about this?
I've told you before.
Not about the lake.
Yeah. I've showed you pictures.
You never
Y'all go
have.
catch all the fish. I'll kill all the pigs and we'll reconvene
Exactly.
Oh.
at dawn.
There's some 10 and 12s in there,
Well, that'll have to be
Like inches or
like
year from
pounds. Yeah.
We can do that too. Absolutely.
Anyways, so when we had
This is how things get started.
So the de-evolution of the podcast
Evolution.
begins.
Once again, if you come to the live podcast, there
starts
will be adults in charge of
falling
this.
apart.
So why have we not had the podcast out there? There's pigs and
That's a
wooden
good
ducks,
question,
That's a good
Cameron.
idea.
fishing.
Cameron.
Sir?
That's a good idea.
I mean, it sounds like this camping weather coming up needs to be like an all-night little.
Dude, you don't even have to camp.
Show how many,
We've
many
got
beers
a
I can drink,
house.
how many
We've got a
pigs I can
house
shoot.
there.
It could
a
be
fun
like a little
game.
rendezvous.
I'm pretty sure I'd say
Like,
you
I
could,
bet I
like,
can drink
stay
a
at the
dozen
house.
beers
We need a
and shoot at
rendezvous.
least one pig.
We need a rendezvous. That's exactly what
We
needs
do.
to happen. So
Are we telling the tractor story now?
Yes, I'm sorry.
tell ahead,
We're all
please.
sorry. Rabbit
Is it
trail.
like the tractor story from Seinfeld? Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't.
Sorry.
Where the girl sat on the tractor and got gonorrhea? That's what her boyfriend said.
yeah, it's the same way I got
That
crabs.
happened to me.
It'll get you.
So-
It's wheels off.
Yeah. Dad was dumping brush in the lake with the tractor, and because he got this new bucket on the front end of it, so he's like, "Got to use my bucket, make bass houses,"
That's what you got to do. You got the equipment. You got to use it.
which I'm all for. But as long as I've been alive, I have gotten chewed out for driving in the pasture when it's wet and making ruts. And what does he do? The weekend it rains,
There's that bastard.
he buries it. Ask me how I feel about it. And so I'm in the middle of moving to Forney, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "I knew he was at the farm." I'm like, "Moving?"
Yeah.
And
No
he's
shock.
like, "Well, I'm going to need you. I got the tractor stuck." I'm like, "Great." So,
Because you were going to come over there with your tractor to get that other tractor
yeah, I was
unstuck?
like, "Well, what am I going to do?" It's like, I'm not going to pull it out. I mean, it's like big tractor.
So descriptive.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
tires are as tall as me.
Yeah.
It is a big
but
tractor.
How do you get a tractor?
So
My grandpa ranched in Little Rock. I've been around tractors, and tractors are always the one that got you unstuck. So to me, it's like a tractor stuck. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I guess we buy a new tractor.
Wait
Yeah.
till it dries up.
But I don't know
Drive it
anything,
out of
so
there.
ignore me.
It's going to quit raining
no,
here
you're
sometime.
gonna, you're gonna
Guess
be
that
impressed.
one's lost.
So-
That's why people buy new tractors. No wonder the tractor market's
get it
so
now.
good.
Everybody's
People
getting them
stuck, and those
stuck.
motherfuckers are just gone.
They just
I'm sorry, continue.
So I got over there, and you can turn the bucket almost upside down, and so it's really hard on the hydraulics. But I just like do it. Hydraulics are easier to fix than paying somebody to come pull us out. And so I turned the bucket upside down
To him.
and raised the front end of the tractor up out of the hole, and then tilted the bucket back. And when I tilted it back, it pushes the tractor out. And so I just like inched our way out that way, trying
Just Just gonna back up here.
Yeah.
All right.
Crab walk.
I bet that
thing
left a
over there.
hell of a rut.
Oh, dude.
God.
Oh my God.
You're talking about him bitching at you for ruts?
Oh yeah.
That left a
Yeah.
hole.
It was like
Yeah, it's
it was like
Well, we
a
have a new
that
pond,
started
boys. Let's
filling
put
in
some
with
bass in
water.
it.
We got some new
No,
wood duck
his
habitat.
His
Yeah,
comment
yeah.
was, "Hey, when the lake fills back up, this will make a good bass house."
Fair enough.
And he was dead serious.
Oh, my, was that
Put a
bad?
new koi pond in for your mother.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a pump and a
Mom
fountain.
has a
She'll
koi
love it.
pond now. Well, tractor stores are fun, especially now we know why the tractor industry does so well, because they get stuck and you go buy a new one. They're disposable.
At least that's how it worked in my book.
Exactly.
But I don't know.
So we are here to talk fishing,
Yeah.
and so a couple questions we had that we would like Sean to talk about is just getting started in fishing. Like, this is the time of year where people kind of start dusting off everything. So what are a couple things somebody can get into fishing that is kind of for the everyman, that would allow them to kind of go out and maybe enjoy catching some fish at a body of water, be that a river, be that a little, little community pond that's, I know the Texas Parks and Wildlife is stocking trout. And so what was kind of just the best kind of way for somebody who's just like, I think I want to go do this. I'd like to maybe even take my kids. What would they do?
Oh, I mean, even though I'm a fly guy and fly fishing is what I do. I mean, if I was going to get into it again just to fish, man, go to Academy, Walmart, and go buy a spinning rod.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest thing to do. I mean, if you got little kids, little push button spin casters, Zebco 33.
Yeah.
It's a great way to start. Go get that, and I would say a bobber and some night crawlers or some crickets. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no easier way to do, with the exception of the cane rod, which is what I started off with when I was 3 years old. Cane rod and a bucket of crickets. I mean, that's what my dad set me down with, and I caught bluegill till I freaking couldn't stand it.
Those are so much fun.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
in fact, my dad and I think we're going to, he's gotten into woodworking. He's built a couple of cricket boxes
Okay.
with the whole intention of us going cane pole fishing with crickets this spring,
Kicking it
just
old
to,
school.
just to do it again. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
You don't have to make it fancy. And as far as places to go, in Texas, we're fortunate that every piece of water that you find has got bluegills or panfish in it.
Yeah.
Usually going to find bass in it as well. And then you usually expand upon that. There's plenty of crappie and drum and buffalo and gar and all that good stuff. So
All good eating. Some
For
other
the most part.
candy. Yeah. Gar balls aren't bad.
yeah,
So we here. Want to find out.
We want to see. Yeah, I've heard just nothing but good stuff about
I
that.
agree.
Though.
I mean, I was down
What do you have in
Louisiana
common?
and saw some Cajuns whacking apart a gar, and they seem to be enjoying themselves.
Exactly.
10 snips. 10 snips of your friend with gar.
They were using a hatchet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Got a hatchet.
What are we, animals?
Yeah,
This is like
exactly. We are.
when you start out by cleaning an animal with 10 snips. It's like,
So Jordan and I did the big float down the Brazos behind the what lake was that? What dam did we start at? Whitney.
It was Whitney.
Yeah.
It was just
below Whitney Dam. We did that
Yeah.
big float.
Down to Dick's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that many gar in my life.
Oh, man, they're everywhere.
Holy hell!
The Brazos got a lot of gar. The Trinity's got gar in it. I mean, right here behind
Yeah,
our
but that
shop.
was crystal clear there.
Yeah, that's the
And
better
so
place
we're
to do
floating
it.
along, and I'm standing up my kayak.
Let me trump your Trinity.
There's so many.
No, you totally can. I'll say that. But that's so. One of the questions we hear in the shop, because we are a fly fishing store, is where can you fly fish in Texas? And the response is, well, anywhere, but exactly like right behind the store, 300 yards
Yeah.
you can fly fish. Now it's buffalo and gar, and I think the record so far is a 60-pound alligator gar caught.
Right
By one-
here?
Yeah, by one of the guys in the
awesome.
shop. We got a picture of it on the wall. But a 60-pound alligator gar, like 200 yards from where we're sitting right now,
Wow.
in
It's a
the
big
middle
fish.
of Dallas. Downtown Dallas skyline is to my right, Oak Cliffs to my left, and Alligator Guard 200 yards away, which is pretty awesome if you think about a 60-pound fish full of teeth
Yeah.
right here in the middle
No
of
doubt.
Dallas.
Just a prehistoric looking.
Prehistoric,
fish.
yeah, it's
Monster
pretty
fish,
awesome.
You know.
I used to have a giant aquarium. I had gar in it.
Yeah, but the Brazos is, I mean,
They're awesome.
people ask me, where do I like to fish? The
It was
Brazos is by far my
300
favorite
pounds.
place in North Texas.
Yeah.
Anywhere from Possum Kingdom down to
30.
Whitney.
Just float all that.
Oh, there's so much. I mean, there's 200 miles of river that's got largemouth, smallmouth, sandies, crappie, buffalo, carp, gar. I mean, and you can float any section of the Brazos and catch all those species.
Yeah.
It's kind of like It's like kind of like going fishing in saltwater fishing, that you don't know exactly what you're going to catch,
But they're there.
but they're there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's by far my favorite place. So the cool thing about the Brazos is that you don't. Let me back up for a second. The Brazos is rocky and shallow, for the most part. So the guys in the big bass boats aren't on the Brazos.
Yep.
I mean, to do it effectively, you've got to have either a jet boat or an airboat.
Airboats are there. We saw
Yes.
The man.
I'm talking.
He had
Daisy Duke
Confederate
shorts.
flag fins on that thing, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
short '80s basketball shorts, like aviators, and was just rocking like some CCR and rocking his airboat. I was like,
Dude, that is.
This is the only time I've ever been jealous of this guy, and I'm super jealous of this guy.
No,
It was
that's
so
it,
badass.
man. That you
I'm done.
see that, and the Brazos is awesome. I mean, and I've got canoes and kayaks, so that's how I fish it. In the past, a buddy of mine, Andy Moreau, he's since passed away, but he's a guide on the Brazos, and he ran jet boats, he ran airboats. And the cool thing is, we could put in at Rochelle's at the Highway 16 bridge,
Okay.
or sorry, Highway 4 bridge, it's like 20 miles below Possum Kingdom. We put it at Rochelle's, and we could run 10, 12, 15 miles upstream and then fish all that in one day. Which typically, if you're in a paddle craft, 10 miles a day is about your limit.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
stretch.
And that's pushing it
yeah.
to try to fish and paddle that far.
Yeah.
So yeah, the jet boats, the airboats are the way to go. And to speak of your sights that you've seen on the Brazos, there's certain things you see while you're fishing that are burned in your memory. So my dad and I were fishing the Brazos outside of Glenrose. There was a low water crossing which has since been closed. And this is probably 12, 13 years ago, and I can see it to this day, clear as a bell, that we're sitting there, we taking a Jeep, we parked there, and we're kind of looking, trying to figure out what we want to do. And it's a Saturday, and everybody's out there partying and drinking and everything there at the river. And this dude is standing there, a pair of white high tops, like basketball shoes, a red Speedo,
Nice.
Oh God.
the black aviators, rocking a mullet, and a Leonard Skinner hat.
Oh my God.
That is amazing.
That's fucking
Seriously.
awesome.
And to top it over, he reaches over in his cooler, pulls out a silver bullet, pops the top, and looks back and surveys everything like he's the freaking king of it all.
Of course he did.
I was like,
he did.
my dad and I, we see this in front of us, and we look at each other and go, you see that? Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
To this day, my dad, I'm like, red Speedo. He's like, oh my God. So, yeah.
My God.
You can build lots of memories while you're fishing.
I mean, see, that's the thing.
That
Some
dude on the
people
airboat,
watch this,
me and Jordan that day. We spent 9 hours on the float that day. And
Yeah.
that dude just in the airboat.
Burned.
Well,
God.
Well,
It's amazing.
we
Probably.
Exactly.
Probably was.
dude.
He
Well, we
finally
pa-
got no money buying an airboat. And now he's just rocking around, just
He won the
shirtless
lottery.
in 6 inches worth of shorts.
Exactly.
Like, don't know how balls not hanging out, just smoking that
Don't know.
menthol 100. Like, I got this, boys. What are you looking at?
It's a
Like,
good
you
day,
paddle those
Tater.
little
It's a good
boats.
day.
He's all, bro! He just ramps up that airboat and rolls off. Oh, it's so badass.
well, he ran over like everything. I mean, like it didn't matter. Like there's like a little like
I'm not saying that's a goal, isn't that badass? I'm just like, that dude didn't give a shit. Like, he owned it.
I think it's awesome, man.
This dude's river.
Little sandbar
Like-
sticking out, man. And you just ramp it.
He knows what's going on.
So badass.
It's pretty
Look,
cool.
It's tough.
Look over at people like, you know what's up.
That's old school. Yeah, exactly. And everybody would nod.
Give
like,
him the
yeah,
nod.
we
Get out of
do
my way.
actually know what's up.
America.
I'm pretty sure I saw him at the Def Leppard Tesla concert this
pretty
past
sure he
summer.
was there.
He was there. He was hanging out.
Pulled up in the Trans Am.
He pulled up
Totally.
carrying the airboat in the parking lot.
Trans
He
Am
drove
with
the
a
airboat.
freaking
He
golden
drove
eagle
the
on the
airboat.
hood,
Fire.
like bandit style.
Well, it's
No, it would have been a Trans Am.
Yeah.
had to have been a
Yeah.
Trans
It
Am.
would have been a Trans Am.
That's
No,
true.
it's a Trans Am. I guarantee it.
So, what do you know about the so I mentioned earlier about the trout stocking program that the state
Yeah.
of Texas is doing. Like, what's kind of that whole story
I'm
behind
just
that?
serious.
Somebody's got to be
So-
an adult here, guys.
So what the state
rules
state
an
of
iron
Texas
fist.
does is they have a rainbow trout stocking program for most of the entire state during the wintertime. So they kind of focus on community ponds, and they'll dump anywhere from 500 to 600,000 trout in these ponds. Like I said, mostly small little community ponds, so a couple acres at the most.
Perfect for the
And yeah, they're putting there as a put and take fishery.
Okay.
They're there for kids to go fishing. So you go down there with your can of corn or your trout power baits and your pole and your bobber. My take on it is that if you're trying to fly fish, it's not the best way to fly fish. Your typical flies usually aren't real productive unless those fish have been in there for 2 weeks or so. And usually at those numbers, they don't stick around that long.
No, yeah.
But there's two other opportunities, or actually I guess 4 other opportunities now that I think about it. So the state supports 2 other efforts, and that is the Brazos River below Possum Kingdom, as well as the Guadalupe River below Canyon Lake in New Braunfels. And those are actually stocked by the state. There's multiple stockings throughout the year. Possum Kingdom, closer to us. Usually the first stocking's a little bit after Thanksgiving. There's 4 stockings. Generally anywhere from 8 to 10,000 fish are put in. And that one you can actually target with flies using traditional fly fishing techniques. So that's a great one to go to. A lot of people around here in North Texas go hit that one. The Guadalupe, that one is done by the state and supplemented by the Guadalupe River Trout Unlimited chapter. They'll usually put a little bit bigger fish and kind of maybe 50% more.
Okay.
And that one, we've actually had some holdover trout the last couple of years. So you're getting these holdover trout. I don't know if there's natural reproduction going on, like what happens up at Broken Bow in Oklahoma. But that's kind of the 2 main ones. If you want the more authentic trout experience in Texas, that's what you're going to do. The one at Possum Kingdom, what I prefer to do that time of year is I will take 2 rods with me, one an 8 weight and one a 3 or 4 weight. And the way that I rig it up is that I will tie up or grab some flies that resemble baby rainbow trout in that 6 to 8 inch patterns. Because the striper fishing and largemouth bass fishing in the wintertime below Possum Kingdom is really, really good.
Yeah.
Those fish are keen in on rainbows. So matching the hatch, I'm
Yeah.
throwing rainbow patterns at them. My biggest bass on public water, not counting private lakes, but public waters has come from below Possum Kingdom in the wintertime.
Really?
We're talking like 8 pound plus
Oh,
largemouth.
wow.
So pretty legit fish.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's a great opportunity. So what I'll do is I'll go target the bass and the stripers. Now, stripers, sometimes you can hit, 10, 15, 20 fish a day. Sometimes it's 2 fish a day. The largemouth, 2 fish a day is to me, that's fishing pretty good.
Yeah.
It's wintertime, so the largemouth are a little bit more lethargic. They're not targeting stuff actively. but they're wanting that one big meal,
Yeah.
so they can sustain themselves for the next 5-6 days.
Yeah.
So that one big fly usually results in a pretty good sized fish.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm so into fishing this year, and I got into it pretty hardcore last year and just tried to start with. I've fished all my life, but really got back into trying to actively fish. And the biggest success I had was getting into those little creeks and using an indicator.
Yeah,
And,
that's so cool.
A little some shad or some little live bait type
Right.
stuff. I
Yeah.
tried to use the artificial stuff and just I felt like I was like I'm not doing what I want, so let's just switch it up. And I switched it up, and I started to have a little success. And so
No, man, I tell people all the time, if I had to fish for food in a survival situation, I'm using bait.
yeah,
There's no doubt I'm going to use some type of bait,
yeah,
whether it's shad or minnows or worms or crickets.
whatever.
I think, if you want the challenge, go in artificial.
Yeah.
So, and if you want the added challenge, fly rod. I mean, that's if you really want to challenge yourself. Though in my opinion, anytime that you're fishing clear water, less than 3 feet, fly rod's a more effective tool. And that with being that the flies, because they don't have a lot of weight to them, it's a better presentation. You're not splashing the water.
Yeah.
A great example: you fish a saltwater flat, fish are in a foot and a half of water. Dude, the fly rod's gonna freaking just lay waste to the population. The dude's throwing spinning rod with the big old jig or something. You can't compete.
They know.
They know, and it's the presentation, that big jig, because you got to have some weight to cast with that spinning rod, and that weight is gonna land with the big splash, spook the fish.
Yeah.
So fly rod, in that instance, is a better way to go. But if I'm fishing past 10 feet, dude, fly rod's the last thing I want to use.
Yeah. You're not gonna.
I mean, that's when you break out the conventional tackle, spinning rod, bait caster, fish those jigs, swim baits, worms, whatever. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as far as kind of on the theme of the everyman, what you've got your stuff now, but what would be your strategy, kind of moving in over the next couple months of all right, I've got what I want to do, and then I want to go out and fish. What would be a good strategy to give someone to say, okay, go out and kind of try to do this time of the year?
So what I'd kind of look at is what species are going to be most active and easy to target throughout the months. So right now we're kind of late January. Crappie fishing is doing pretty good right now. Crappie are up in the creek, so targeting the structure of crappie, whether it be in jigs or minnows. To me, February is like the dead zone.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot going on. Hunting season's over at that end. February is my time to kind of sit at home and recuperate, tie flies. But if I was going to do anything, it'd probably be trying that crappie fishing, times to striper fishing. Go hit the trout. So going up to Oklahoma to fish for trout and broken bow, February's a great time to do that. As we get into March, now I'd start targeting those bass.
Okay.
Pre-spawn stage. If we get a couple warm days, start going out there and targeting those kind of bass that are in the pre-spawn, kind of offshore structure type deal. If it's warm enough, I might start thinking about sand bass. Okay. There's a couple places that sand bass will spawn or start making those runs earlier than other places, particularly on the rivers.
Okay.
I've caught so my birthday's December 29th. I've got into schooling sand bass on the Brazos River on my birthday, which is 3 months earlier than anybody would think that it would happen. But talking to a couple guides, they're like, yeah, that happens. So,
any explanation for why? Just heat up of the water, some sort of
they just do it. I don't know.
Hungry.
They're hungry, but it's below
that's a natural way for them to feed, anyways. So.
And so what I would do, I wouldn't.
Yeah, and those fish are in there.
And it'd be the river fish too. I wouldn't be targeting. I wouldn't go to Rowlett Creek looking for sand bass in February or March.
Right. Yeah.
But the Brazos, the Brazos below the dams, like below Pasadena, below Whitney, below Granbury. Keep my eye on Texoma.
Yeah.
Texoma's real dependent on when they're generating and when we get releases. It kind of ebbs and flows. I haven't heard much the last 6 months about Texoma, so I'd be more in the spring. I'd be more keen to lean towards Possum Kingdom.
Okay.
If Cam came to me and said, "Hey man, first week of March, where you want to go fish?" I'd be like, "Dude, PK, we're gonna go out there and fish." And then so as we start to warm up a little bit, still hitting the bass pretty hard, starting looking at those shallows. We're spawning fish through April. To me, the bass fishing for largemouth, April, May, that's when I'm going to target fish up in the shallows during the spawn. Still looking at sand bass that time of year. And then I start looking at the creeks and everything. The rule of thumb on sand bass, you hear about when the dogwoods bloom.
Okay.
So when the dogwoods are blooming, that's when the sand bass are running. And so I tell people all the time, if you want to know where to fish for sand bass, when you're driving around, you see a bunch of people parked around a bridge, yeah, sand bass.
Sand bass.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
So go hit that. Now, the other little thing that I kind of forgot to mention this time of year is the chain pickerel.
Okay.
So chain pickerel, if you're not familiar with it, is a miniature pike.
Oh.
So just what you see up in Canada and up north, those pike fish,
Here?
in Texas, we've got chain pickerel.
I didn't know that. I know what a chain pickerel is, but I didn't know we had them here.
Yeah, so chain pickerel are actually native to the Sabine drainage. It's the furthest west native range of the chain pickerel. So
No
Dangerfield
way.
State Park, Caddo,
Wow.
yeah,
Well,
they've
shit.
got chain pickerel. Chain pickerel like to spawn in the wintertime. They come up shallow and they lay their eggs on grass. So January, February, March, that's when you target chain pickerel up in the shallows.
I don't even know what one of those looks like. I mean, I know what a pike looks like.
Think of a pike that's like 2 feet long.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a tiny pike.
Yeah, that's a chain pickerel.
Dude,
What are y'all doing this weekend?
man.
This coming weekend?
Shoot wood ducks.
Yeah, I gotta kill me some wood ducks.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
it's
catch
2 weeks
some,
ago, I went to kill some of my.
pick-
Like I say, January is when duck season ends in January. So February is kind of like that whole like.
February, I got you.
There's
Whatever,
nothing to
man.
do in
Let's
February,
go.
but
Let's go.
like
Nothing's-
chase chain pickerel.
Yeah.
That sounds actually right up my alley.
That sounds like
That
a lot
sounds
of
like
fun.
a
So
blast.
Dangerfield State Park is a great spot to do that. It's got a couple things going for it. One is the whole lake is like 10, 12 acres. It's surrounded by pine trees, so it's out of the wind.
Oh, nice.
You can rent canoes. I take my kayak out there, and you don't see a lot of people out there this time of year. So that's an awesome spot to go. And you want to fish in February, chain pickerel, Dangerfield.
and what do you do? What is that? What if you?
So I do it on
What's the best way
fly.
to do that? Yeah.
Okay, so because I'm a fly guy, I do it with little red and white bait fish patterns that are like 3 inches long. And
Okay.
it's a reaction strike. Those fish, I bet if you took like some sassy shad
Okay.
and super weightless, that's the thing, that you need something that's going to run like inch or two under the surface. I wouldn't necessarily say top water, but just below the surface. 2 to 3 inches long. And you just kind of cast them up there and just kind of, I wouldn't say a real fast retrieve. You want to keep it moving, but you'll see them start making wakes. And
Oh,
they'll
wow.
start
Oh my
charging,
God, that is
charging your lure,
so
charging your
awesome.
fly.
That is awesome.
Oh, it's a blast. And so with a fly rod, I'd take a 4 or 5 weight fly rod. Because you talk like a
Like we
2.
said, you and Cam are the only fly fishers.
All right, so
Jordan's about to be.
Yeah.
A
and I got a
5-weight.
list of questions. I'm just waiting to jump in.
No, it's all right. So the 5 weight fly rod, that's like the universal trout rod. So I'd say if I'm gonna do it like in conventional terms,
No,
an
that's
ultralight, maybe a
fine.
medium
We
light.
want
Yeah.
a rabbit trail real quick.
Yeah, let's
Like
go.
I know Abe and I are planning this summer to get into fly fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that a good middle range to start with things?
If you were just gonna trout fish, yes.
Yeah, see, I tried to ask Cameron the same question. This is
But
one
as
of
a
my
whole, no.
questions for you. Well, what
Because
one of the
I mean,
questions is,
I love trout fishing.
Yeah. If
but
you're
I'm
just
gonna bass fish all summer.
So this is the deal that, like many things, there's not a
Well,
Sure.
do it all.
Sure.
What did I tell you, Jordan?
Hang on.
Wait.
Whoa. Let's start here.
Yeah.
Let's start here with what does the weights mean?
Okay,
Because
so
let's go basic,
when we're looking at weights,
right?
the weight is the
good
actual
conversation.
weight of the fly line, not the weight of the rod, physical weight of the rod. It's the weight of the fly line. So what they do is when they build fly lines, they classify them by what the first 30 feet of the fly line weighs. And so there's the classification goes anywhere from 0 to 16. 0 being the lightest, 16 being the heaviest. And so they take the first 30 feet, they weigh it, weighs so many grains, and then they say, okay, so that's a weight. So on a 5-weight fly line, the first 30 feet of the fly line weighs 150 grains. An 8-weight fly line, the first 30 feet weighs 210 grains.
I don't understand the math. You said it. Say it again.
Put
All right,
numbers
so
together. And,
a 5-weight fly line so we're talking just the first 30 feet of the line. So where your
Sure.
leader attaches, go back 30 feet. On a 5-weight
Fly line.
5-weight fly line weighs 150 grains.
Okay.
An 8-weight fly line will weigh 210 grains for that same amount of distance, same 30 feet.
So what was the naming convention for like the 8 or the 5?
No, I'm trying to figure out the math here.
It jumps anywhere from
you just know
20
this
to
'cause you know this, but I
right.
need to know the math behind this because that's how my brain works.
So as you go up the scale, it increases. So like some of them are 20 grain increments. Some of them go up to like 30 grain increments. It's a curve.
It's a variety of a curve.
It is.
It's not a straight line. There's
No, it's-
no math behind
There's a
it.
bit of a curve behind. That's just the way it
That's
is.
just the way it works, bro.
It's hey, where do you duck hunt?
It's anywhere from 20 to 30 grains.
Same thing.
in the increments.
I can tell you what size shot I shoot for what reason.
But why do they call
but
it?
see, I mean, it'll get in there in a second.
No. So
Continue.
what
I'll
happens
find the
is
math online.
when you look at the fly rod and you figure, all right, what you want to, and so the way it works out is that the heavier the weight of the fly line, there's two things that happen. One, it's able to cast a bigger fly, heavier fly, more wind resistant fly, and secondly, it's able to handle the wind better.
Sure.
So the downside is that the heavier the weight of the fly line, the bigger the splash is
Yeah,
when it hits the water.
It shows up more. It's
So you lose some of your presentation.
Sure.
So 5 weights for trout use really small flies, so you want that more delicate presentation. But an 8-weight, you want to be able to throw a big heavy fly into the wind, like for bass fishing or saltwater fishing. So kind of the rule of thumb is 5-weight for trout, 8-weight for bass and inshore like flats.
if you had to own
redfish,
2 fly rods,
a 5 and an 8. 2 fly rods,
what
5
would
and
be the
8.
first way
Cover
to
that
buy-
8 do gar.
Oh, totally.
We were doing that this summer.
okay, because I've got ultralights I can ultralight spinners I can trout fish with. If
Yeah.
I had to start somewhere for this summer, I should start with an 8. So I could.
I would say in
I could bass.
Texas, an 8-weight is a good place to start for 2 reasons. With an 8-weight, you can always cast smaller flies with an 8-weight. You can always,
You can.
yeah.
You got to go backwards. You can't go forwards. kind of
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
So you take an
Okay.
8-weight
Yeah.
fly rod, you can cast all these different flies with an 8-weight. Now you take a 5-weight fly rod, well now you can't cast the heavier flies like you can with an 8.
Yeah.
So
But you, like you said, you can go. From
You
an
can
8,
go smaller.
cast
you
what
can go
cast.
smaller, but it's hard to go
Yeah,
bigger
exactly.
than what it's made for. And because we live in Texas, we've got the opportunity to fish for largemouth, stripers. We can go down the coast to redfish.
Yeah.
8-weight rod covers all of those.
Yeah, that's
The 5-weight's like, all right, we'll go trout fishing,
yeah.
brim fishing, sand bass fishing, and that's kind of we're hitting our limit right there.
Yeah.
Now you can go up to a 6-weight, and now a 6-weight allows you to cast some of those bass flies. So to me, if I was living in North Texas, and the way that I fish in North Texas, a 6-weight is kind of like my all-purpose rod for most things. small creeks, small stock tanks, river fishing. Does all that. If I'm going to a big reservoir like Lake 4 or Lake Texoma, I'm taking my 8-weight.
Yeah.
So I kind of tell people, pick the rod that's going to do 90% of your fishing. If you're just going to trout fish, go 5-weight.
Yeah.
That's all you need. But you're like, well, I live in North Texas, so I want to fish Texoma, and then I want to go to fish for redfish, and well, I've got to go to Mexico for this wedding, and I want to try bone fishing. I'm like, dude, get an 8-weight. Because you can do all that. You can still take it to Broken Bow and fish for trout if you want to.
So, do reels convert?
So
it's easier to have multiple, so you don't have to respin.
correct. So the way that the reels work is that the reels need to match up to the size of the rod. And so you can buy a reel for a 5-weight, that's one size. Then you buy a reel for an 8-weight, that's a different size. Just like
Sure.
Just-
More or less line and different weight lines.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Just like any other rail.
Yeah,
For sure.
just like spinning rods, man. Your spinning rod for your ultralight is way smaller than your spinning rod for your heavyweight.
Yeah.
Sure.
Same thing with fly rods. Now, what you get into with the fly reels is that the fly reels for freshwater fishing, pretty much anything works for freshwater.
Because you're not dealing with salt.
Because you're not dealing with salt, you're not dealing with real big fish for the most part.
Yeah, you're not hooking a marlin.
So you can find, so the way that I tell people, if you're looking at freshwater, the way to spend your money is the rod first, the line second, the reel third.
Okay.
And let me kind of like backtrack a little bit about the line. That line is like tires on your car. Say, if you buy a Porsche, you're not going to go buy your tires at Walmart because you want the best performance you can out of your Porsche. So you're going to spend money and get a good set of tires. Fly rods are the same way. The rod only works as well as the line that you put on it, so spend money on the line. And there's a difference between a $30 fly line and an $80 fly line.
Big difference.
Huge difference. The $80 fly line is going to, one, last longer, but it's going to cast better, cast farther, all that good stuff. Now, the great thing about fly lines, you take care of them, they're going to last you a couple years. I've got fly lines that are 10 years old and I'm still fishing.
You just take care of them.
Just take care of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like mono or fluoro on your bait catcher that you're changing out every couple months or once a year.
Yeah.
So, now, the fly reels in saltwater, it's a different ballgame. If you're looking at inshore fishing on the flats, now you need something that's machined aluminum, anodized, has a good drag system on it, just to hold up to that abuse.
Yeah.
You don't have to go like stupid crazy on it, but you're going to spend a little bit more on that reel. Now, the stuff for tarpon, marlin, those, there's no way around it. You're going to have to spend money on it.
You're in a
You're just
whole
hauling
different
a
world
beast.
there.
It's all, because
That's
in fact, I would say you
very
spend more money on the
specified.
reel on those species than you would on the rod itself.
Yeah.
Because now you're using the reel to fight the fish and land them. So there's a couple parameters that you've got to meet, and the truth of the matter is, those reels are expensive. That's just
If you're going
you're
after
looking
marlin,
$600, $800, $900 for those reels. That's all there is.
It's expensive though.
But then again, if you're going offshore fishing for marlin, you're not doing it out of your kayak
No.
off Galveston. I mean, you're already paying $1,200 a day for the charter.
Yeah.
Guess what? Your fly reel's gonna
Cost of doing business.
Exactly.
You're going to shoot a 220-inch monster whitetail deer. Guess what?
Yeah.
You're going to have to get real lucky, or you're going to have to pay a bunch of money to get it done. I mean, there's just no way around. If you want to hunt monsters like that, then you got to pay to hunt monsters like that. You want to go and hunt monster sand bass? Yeah, you can do that.
Oh, no, you do that on the
You don't
Sabine
need
River,
this
dude. It
thing,
just takes some gas money to do that.
That's everyman game.
That's the everyman
Monster
game.
ass sand bass.
That's where we like to operate, right?
Pick and roll.
Yep.
Get up early, go to a little bait shop, get some minnows.
No.
That's what I do. And that's why I would like to get into the fly fishing.
Give up.
Just put braid on everything and just go fishing.
God,
See?
we did it!
Exactly. Jordan gets it.
So we have two
Hang
major
on. Hang on.
contention points in this podcast.
Ugh.
It is Onyx
No,
versus
this is not
Hema
worth
maps, and
It's worth
braid
it.
versus regular.
We have not
fishing
addressed
line.
this yet at all on the podcast.
We don't have time for this.
Which one's
It's
pro
all-
braid? Which one's pro
He
mono?
hates braid.
I love
Oh, hang on.
No.
I don't hate braid.
I don't hate mono.
Dude, this is gonna tear this podcast.
That's
apart.
why I
If you're
said we don't have
fishing-
time
if
for
you're fishing
this.
structure around lily pads, you got to go braid.
Thank
No, you don't.
Totally got to.
You know how many fish I've caught in
you.
tournaments?
No one cares.
Not as many as this guy has fishing braid.
Because I can just yank them out of there like, fight the fish? Fuck it, I'm just going to reel it in. Like, it ain't going to break. Like, oh, 30
Money's on the
pound
line,
mono?
dude. You got to fish braid.
I can fish
No,
70-pound braid on the
Okay,
same
hang on,
diameter.
hang
So
on.
I can pull you a
Outside
pier
source,
with me.
I'm just curious. If you had to pick, you're not a conventional guy,
No.
but just braid or mono. Not mono,
No, you
but
can't
mono
throw that-
or fluorocarbon. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I was gonna say
no,
mono.
but I
Fuck
when
that.
I 100% use fluoro
okay.
leaders.
I would use braid with a fluoro leader.
Oh, dude, Cameron.
What did I just say? What
You-
did I just say?
you know how many
And what did I
knots
say
I've
at Jordan's
broke?
house the other night when we were talking?
I
I
don't
said, what do I
remember. You
want
said a
run?
lot of
I said
stuff.
braid
You
with a
said-
fluoro leader.
It makes
That's
sense to
the
me.
best way to use it.
And I said that the other night.
But I ignored it because I wanted to argue.
Dude, mom and dad are fighting, Jordan.
All right, folks. In case you can't see this, they're in each other's faces.
This is
They're
getting-
squaring up.
This is all right. That's
They're
it.
both
We're gonna
reaching
take
for
the
pocket
motorcycles
knives.
out there. Winner wins.
Deal.
Done.
Absolutely.
No, you're lighter than me.
Oh, now
Man, I'm
we're-
more experienced on a motorcycle, I
Yeah.
bet.
Probably.
Oh my god.
So I win.
Here we go.
I'm more experienced in a bass boat than you.
We're not
You
on
can't
a
see
bass
this right
boat, we're
now,
on a
but they're
fucking
about to whip out their
storefront.
dicks.
Cool. Congratulations. Well, I didn't hear what you said, Sean. I'm sorry.
He goes in
Here's
down
why
there
you don't
and pull me
argue
up.
about line or
And this is how friendships are
Brand.
ended. Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Don't worry, Jordan and I'll keep everybody together here.
So,
so if
Nah, man,
some,
Anywho.
hey, this would
I'm poking
this would
bears.
be kind of cool to hear from people, like what they. You turned. He turned me down.
No, I didn't turn you down.
No, we should actually
you
do a
just
poll.
did.
We should do a
Turn
poll.
him down.
No, really, like just out of curiosity. I mean,
Because I love braid,
versus-
and I will
versus
run
mono.
if I need to run a fluoro leader, I'll absolutely run it.
Right.
No question.
And I like braid. I think it's got its applications, but it's not. It's not a. It's
I
not a
like the
cure-all.
sensitivity of it, and
I
I
do
understand
too.
some people like the flex. I like to feel like anything touches it, I know it's
No,
there.
I
No,
get it.
your braid. Your braid's actually going to give you a lot more feel at the bottom. You can like count rocks with braid.
I
Absolutely.
So
exactly.
stiff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Every big fish I've caught has been on 100% braid.
Yeah.
Because that's all you run.
Go fish a Clearwater lake.
No.
100%
Got a
of the
point.
time it works. 100% of the time.
Yeah, 6% of the time it works every time. That doesn't even make sense.
Oh, so
I love this argument. This just gets me like excited.
I mean,
Well,
it's
I can
probably
tell.
a whole podcast in and of itself. Braid versus.
And we should do it on a river somewhere.
Okay. Sign us
Like
up.
that's way more fun.
it's true.
Yeah.
Maybe a 4-acre lake on somebody's farm.
And somebody who has a bay boat that we could fish off of.
Okay.
I knew that would get him exasperated. That spoke the bear on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing this weekend?
I have to kill wood ducks. It's kind
Okay.
of a thing.
Dude, it's still duck season for 2 more weekends.
Yeah.
You
I
gotta
like
chill,
it.
bro.
Probably
I
gonna
can't
go with
fish
you.
until I'm done
Can I
shooting
go?
ducks.
Can I go duck hunt with you?
Well,
and teach you how to
shooting
shoot
at
and
ducks.
teach you how to fish.
I know how to shoot. I just have to shoot left, and where my gun's gonna end
Yeah,
up.
you have to kind of.
I mean, I would go, but I'm going to be in sunny Mexico this weekend, so yeah.
So you're going to chase.
Mm.
What kind of fish were you saying?
Permit.
Permit.
No, you're really going down there.
I'm going permit fishing next week. I got 6 days in
quit.
Mexico.
I quit.
So what kind
It's
of
a
fish
work
is that?
trip.
Just kind of a.
So
It's the unicorn.
in the fly fishing world, there's like one marquee fish. Everyone's like, oh, this is the hard one to catch. It's called the permit.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with jacks, jack crevalle that you catch down in the Gulf of Mexico, this is the jack's cousin
Okay.
that likes to go up in the shallows and feed and super skittish. And it's kind of like the marquee fish in saltwater that, you ask somebody how many bonefish you caught, how many redfish you caught. They're like, oh, yeah, I caught a bunch. How many carp you caught? I don't know. How many permits you caught? They know the exact number of permit that they've caught.
How many permit have you caught?
2.
Point proven.
Exactly. That you ask any permit guy, the guys are like, I've caught 104.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't know. Like, no, you know your permit
It's
number.
very defined type.
And so
104 is a
part of our
permit.
the shop here, we have a travel service, and we have a bunch of lodges that we book for, and this is one of our marquee lodges is down Ascension Bay, Mexico, and Punta Allen, like south of Cancun. So I'm hosting a group of 11 anglers down there next week to chase permit for a week, along with bonefish and tarpon and whatever else we find.
Anything that swims.
I'm like
Pretty much.
foaming at the mouth right now.
So
It sounds fun.
yeah,
We
I'm
can't
excited.
wait. Can we follow you on Instagram when you get back? Will we see pictures or
Hopefully I can
Yeah.
Instagram while I'm down there. It's off the
Spotted.
grid.
which is the best kind of trip?
Yeah, there is
When
no
you're doing something
telephone.
outside?
There's a satellite with internet and phone, but it's not super reliable.
Not something you're gonna.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I gotta post.
There's no
Instagram
cell tower
something.
down there. It's like, all right, you're
At least enough to call the wife and tell her you're not dead.
pretty much. I will.
Don't sell my stuff.
Yes, I will get down there and send an email to my wife saying I made it. I'll see you in
Yeah.
7 days.
Yeah.
So, which is the way we start off our marriage. That we get married, and 2 weeks later, I was like in Bolivia for 10 days.
Yeah. It's the best honeymoon ever.
It was. I was like, I do. I'll see you in 10 days.
I'll see you later.
So.
Well, boys, you guys got any concluders? Any other questions? We're gonna have a whole debate between you two. Hillary
There's
Clinton
so many.
versus Trump
There's
style.
so many debates we're going to have.
over braid and
So many.
That's the
that shit in here.
comparison.
Is that it? There's no more fishing questions?
I actually
Nah,
have
man.
one that I was thinking about earlier.
What's that?
It's a quick one. What's your opinion on putting trout are not native to the Brazos? They're not native to the Guadalupe.
No, they're not.
What's your opinion on putting them in there?
Your
So
look so far is telling it all.
the Brazos, I don't care.
do it.
We put them in. The state puts them in there, and they die out. They're eaten. They're gone. Who cares? The Guadalupe, on the other hand, there's a lot of money and a lot of effort put into putting trout in the Guadalupe because it's the southernmost trout fishery in America. Guadalupe Trout Unlimited. If you join Trout Unlimited and you're a citizen of the state of Texas, you're automatically a member of the Guadalupe River Trout Unlimited. So they have like the biggest chapter in the country.
Wow.
And if you follow Texas rivers and flooding, the Guad floods every couple of years. And when it does, it comes over the dam at Canyon Lake, it wipes everything out, and they have to start all over. So they start all over trying to put trout back in there. Well, you know, how about we quit putting trout in there and, I don't know, work on Guadalupe bass, which would be a native bass species, which is only found in Texas and
It's a native
happens to
fish
be the
thing.
state fish.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't there- didn't
why
they-
don't
didn't
we
that
work
make the
on
news?
doing that?
Didn't that make the news or something recently?
Yeah, they actually just did a big release of those, didn't they?
They did. So yeah, they've been trying. And so years ago, the state of Texas said, "Hey man, we could put smallmouth bass in these rivers in Texas. They're
Why not?
cold water rivers. Yeah, this
Yeah.
will work." Well, what happened is the smallmouth hybridized with the Guads. So now you have these hybrids,
Of course.
and pure strain Guadalupes became really hard to find. I think the Upper Guad, Nueces, and the Llano.
All those
And
left.
one other thing were the only ones that had pure strains of Guads, and everything else had hybridized. So they're working on trying to rectify that and get it back to saving the Guads.
Okay. Just a focus
Is
shift.
that possible to do? I mean,
It is. I think it's, you get these major flood events.
on a river
That kind of helps out.
Yeah.
So there's actually native fisheries biologists that the state has in the hill country. In fact, a friend of mine that I've met, that's what his job is. He's a native fisheries biologist. He's out of Austin, so that's what he does, is try to propagate and increase the number of native fish. Which is funny because you talk about the Devil's River. That's like the crown jewel in Texas. That's like, oh, you can go fish the Devils. And the two species in the Devils that everybody talks about are the smallmouth and carp, which are both non-native species.
Of course.
Both are introduced. But that's what everybody wants to go down there and catch. So I'm a big proponent of native fisheries. If it's not native, get rid of it.
Yeah.
So.
Kind of goes back to.
But Texas is so great at axis deer, aoudad, hogs. We're really good at non-native stuff around here.
Yeah.
So.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Cameron.
I know.
Non-native is kind of a specialty for Texas.
It is.
When you can shoot an elk in the face any time of the year. It's like, no, it's exotic.
Or you're
like,
running
no, it's
around
not.
on a high fence sheep hunt, ram hunt. It's a coal hunt. It's cheap and it's hanging out with your buddies, and you see a buffalo, and that's cool. Oh, that's cool as shit. And they're like, yeah, you can give me $4,000, you can shoot it in the face right now. I'm like, I didn't say I wanted to shoot in the face. I just said it was cool.
Yeah.
God, Jesus.
I guess the only one so I got some friends that I know that have got ranches up in the Panhandle, like on the New Mexico border. And I was talking to him one day. I was like, "Oh man, what'd you do this weekend?" He's like, "Dude, I shot an elk." Oh really? Where are you at? He's like, "Up on my ranch." I was like, "Oh man, I thought you're like low fence." He goes, "Oh, we are." Elk came across the border.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, the elk don't know. They don't know what state they're in, but once they cross the border, it's free game." I was like, "All right."
Yeah, Texas passed a law that says that elk aren't native, so they're exotic.
Yeah.
All the
So
high
you-
rollers with big money
yeah.
passed it, so they're exotics, even though
Year
they
round,
come
baby,
across
year
the
round.
border.
Even though
Like,
elk
'cause
are
they
native
wanted to stock
Texas.
them on the
Of
ranches
course.
to sell
Right.
hunt year round. So elk in Texas is considered an exotic species. So you can
Wow.
hunt it year round. So they walk across your border in
Yep.
super West Texas, blouch, right in the face.
Right in the face.
In fact, I think it's like if you look up the draw hunts, there's a WMA out in West
Yeah.
Texas that's got elk on it, and you're allowed. I think you're allowed like one muley,
Something like that.
and then unlimited hogs and elk.
Yeah. What do you mean unlimited elk? Like, oh, you're not going to see it. Like, we put that, we put that on there. So, like, they're like, we put that on there so people register. You're not going to see any goddamn elk.
I know. I'm like,
unlimited
oh,
elk. Holy shit. Like, no, you're not going to see any of that.
I would have drawn that tag just so I can elk hunt. I'm like, that's all I want. I just want elk.
But, hey, there was a
There's a herd that moves around.
yeah, there is
out
a
there.
herd of free range elk
Absolutely.
in Texas somewhere. It's like the unicorn Texas for
Yeah.
hunters.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like
up in
chupacabra.
Oklahoma. Straight north of here, there's an elk hunt.
Wichita. We talking about that. Wichita.
Um,
There's some mountains in Oklahoma
Yeah.
that you can draw a tag
Hey, edit
for.
this. Cut right here. We need 30 seconds silence.
Beep. Please leave a message.
It's a 1 in 1,000 chances of drawing a tag.
It's not even worth entering. Don't worry about it.
Don't even
Ignore
know.
us.
It's a once in a lifetime tag, and I think
It's
it's
not
like
worth your money. Don't spend your money.
it's a 5% chance of getting drawn on a once in a lifetime tag for is it 4 spots in Oklahoma that you can draw for?
I don't
I think
know.
so.
I don't know
Haven't
numbers.
looked
I
it
just
up.
Yeah,
know
we
about it.
Cam and I were talking about this. We looked it up, and I'm putting in for it. It's like $5 to enter.
Exactly. I'm putting in for it too.
And if you draw, it's like $300 for the tag. I'm like,
Cool.
dude.
I spent way more than that on my landowner tag for New Mexico last year, and just got real tired for a week.
And the
Yeah,
fact
real
is that it's close
That's all
enough
I
you
did.
can scout.
That's
I mean,
the
you
thing,
can
yeah.
totally scout that thing
Oh yeah.
weeks leading up to it. That's no
exactly.
big deal.
Because
So
it's right there.
yeah,
I'm like Friday night, like I'm gonna go scout.
yeah.
all
I think it's
weekend.
like it's western central Oklahoma and then eastern Oklahoma. There's a herd there too.
That is so cool.
I have two
So
places
cool.
next year that I want to definitely focus on a little bit of expanded deer hunting, and that is Oklahoma. And Lake Meredith. I wanna
Well,
try to shoot
the cool
deer
thing is
there.
Oklahoma, because I'm an experienced Oklahoma deer hunter now.
Yeah,
After my
been there.
one season,
Yeah.
is it what $300 for the tags?
Yep.
You get 6 deer on your archery tag, or $280 for an archery tag, which goes from October 1st to January 15th. 6 deer, only 2 can have antlers. There's no ARs, any of that bullshit. It's like, all right, dude.
Have that antler restriction.
Yeah.
Um,
None of that bullshit. It's like,
No.
all right, dude.
Yeah.
You see a deer, it's yours.
yeah, it's yours.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a guy on the podcast a couple weeks ago who hunted up there, and he was
He knocked down a monster.
He knocked a monster down in
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
that was a good.
Yeah.
That was a
On
good
public land.
Yeah.
Just an absolute.
With the boat too, right?
Yeah.
I think I listened to that one, dude. So
Yeah, he's
That one.
that one
yeah,
podcast.
That podcast.
I listened to others, but that podcast I remember listening to.
Yeah. So Oklahoma is. It's a treasure.
It's
that
right there.
I feel like a lot of Texans don't utilize because everybody thinks about
It's
it. the way
closer
we all
than
do.
Austin.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma.
I mean,
It
it's
is
2
close.
hours away.
You could almost get all the way through Oklahoma by the time you get to Austin. You know.
And Austin sucks.
Yeah.
Keep Austin weird, man.
Keep it down there.
Yeah, they can have it. It took me
Here
10
it goes.
hours. 10 hours to get from here to the Deerleys in San Antonio.
Did you take the 130 loop? Is it 130?
Yeah.
The big loop.
Around Austin?
It's worth the $10
yes,
or $12.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
Did you kill any deer down there this year?
No.
He only went how many times?
I went to set up feeders, and I didn't hunt it all down there.
What?
Yeah. It was bad. I'm bitter
We're
about
ashamed
it.
of him.
I'm bitter
It's all
about
right.
it.
We
Been
hunted a
stuck
bunch
here
on
grinding
public
it out
land.
with
He's
you
our
guys.
special friend.
Yeah.
That just don't make no sense
What?
at
We
all.
went and crushed it on public land.
It's okay. You're cute. Don't worry about it.
You know.
Thanks.
So, well, I think we've taken up enough of your time, Sean.
And we're done.
I'm sure you got venison stew to get home to.
Mm-hmm.
You boys got anything else? No other rabbit trails?
I got nothing.
Yeah. No.
It's a school night.
It is a school night. It's a Monday night. We appreciate you staying here late for us.
Glad to do
Yeah.
it.
Talking
man.
fishing,
Glad to.
just talking outdoor stuff. You got anything else, concluders? Anything fun coming up here at the shop?
So May 5th is our anniversary party.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo, so it ought to be a
Oh,
pretty.
wow.
It's usually a big party to begin with. This one might be a little bit bigger because it's Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Of course.
Respect
I
it.
think
Let's do this.
I think our friends from the Element are going to be premiering their Black Canyon fly fishing film.
Oh, cool.
At our
Heard a lot
party.
about that.
I got some dudes from Sage and Reddington are going to be doing a demo day, so they'll have all their toys out here if you want to come out and cast rods and do all that.
Oh.
But if nothing else, free beer, margaritas, and food. So it's worth coming out just for that.
Yeah, I'm
Sounds
down
like
with
a
that.
plan.
Comes to hang
Yeah.
out, but deal. Sold.
Yeah. I'd come
Yeah,
just for the
it's a good
company.
party. We do have live music out on the patio, which tonight it's a little chilly, so we didn't open up the garage doors and get the fire pit going because we could totally sit out there around the fire pit and do
That's
this.
fun, yeah.
Which maybe we could do it down
Yeah,
the road.
this isn't that to be the only time we do
No,
this.
Yeah, come on here, dude. We
Sure.
got the fire pit. We can actually broadcast from the levee, looking at
From
beautiful
the
downtown
levee.
Dallas
That'd be kind of
in
cool.
the glow of the
Absolutely.
neon lights and
Exactly.
Do
random
some video,
gunfire.
too.
Oh.
The Trinity.
If only we had like
flowing in
70
the
video
background.
cameras.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we
I
do
know.
have 70
Yeah.
video cameras.
We could even maybe go do a little nighttime catfishing in the Trinity
Oh my
live
God.
from downtown Dallas.
You can
God.
teach me and Abe to fly fish.
With
this
bobbers.
summer,
Sure.
I will be coming in here to buy things and for you to teach me. Like,
Yeah.
Man, glad
I
to
will
do
be your
it.
Padawan.
Yeah.
Glad to.
Yeah, I've been looking around this whole time. I've been
He's
like,
going to come in and buy things. I'm going to come in and buy things, but I'm just going to go and do it,
No.
and we'll see.
I've already got a float trip or two planned for us, man.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's why we love him. That's why we love him.
Okay.
that's why we
let's
keep
do
coming
this.
back.
Everyone's got kayaks, right?
Yep.
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 Cool. I
Abe's
got float
a pile
trips.
of 'em.
Well, I got 3. yeah. Sure. That's
One of them's in my garage. Yesterday, he's like, "Is that Lauren's boat?" And I was like, "No, that's Abe's boat." And he was, "Where's her boat?"
It
And I
is-
was like, she keeps it next to her bed.
Just where any respectable young lady should keep a kayak.
I know, right? I'm like, man, that's awesome. My girlfriend keeps her kayak next to her bed because she has a place for it.
Oh, we.
Yeah, like,
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
commitment.
That
I was
is.
like, we were group texting or whatever, and I was like, hey, they told me to put my kayak out from in front of my apartment.
yeah.
And you were like, well, just put it by your bed. That's what my girlfriend does. It's like, how long is it? I've got to.
Why do we have to talk
It's
about
average.
that right now? you said, yeah, it's average. Don't get like, leave me
All
alone,
right.
dude.
No reason.
Jesus. I'm white. Leave me be.
It does its job. All right. That's all you need to know.
No one complains.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
Stop
not the size
pissing
of your
on my
bait. It's the
balls,
motion of the
finally.
ocean.
Well, guys,
I'm done. I quit.
Yeah, it's over.
sounds like
We're
May
done.
5th is the party down here.
May 5th, Tailwaters,
Tailwaters?
1933 East Levee Street. Beautiful design district of Dallas, Texas.
come and hang out.
If nothing else, we got a bar here that's always got free beer. So if you got nothing to do, just come
We're
hang out
here.
and
We
drink
will
beer.
bring plenty of beer. I'll guarantee
It
you.
is an awesome,
Free
awesome
beer.
place.
If the Element guys are going to be here, we'll be here. It'll all be
Yeah.
a big, good
It'll
big
be
time.
a good, fun time. Speaking of the Element guys, we are doing a podcast with them.
February
Live
17th.
podcast.
Legal draft.
Where's
It's gonna
that
be
at?
fun.
Arlington, Texas.
Yeah.
Google it.
With the
It's on
Backcountry
Division
Hunters
Street.
and
I don't know
Anglers.
the exact address. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. A simple Google search of legal draft will turn up legal draft. The brewery in Arlington. It is not on Super Bowl weekend,
No?
so come out and recuperate from the Super Bowl.
When's the Super Bowl?
I think the 8th.
Who
I
I
don't
thought
know.
that was in January.
No,
Really?
it's in February.
I
It's like
just thought it was
first
like
weekend
the
of
last
February.
weekend in January.
I'm
Something-
so happy that
I don't
no
know,
one here actually knows.
Yeah.
No, it
I
might
hunt-
be
I
that
hunt
because
fish.
like what like this is like the champ like the conference champions are what next weekend.
Yeah.
What?
So then they
Yeah.
take 2 weeks off for the
Yeah.
Super Bowl, right?
What did he say?
We're like 2 weeks out, yeah.
So
Things-
yeah,
things
it'd be
happen
like
in
the
football.
7th. Yeah.
I thought it was over with.
Well, yeah.
No, conference champs are next weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, conference.
Yeah,
Do they have a
but-
couple of matches?
They're gonna go play on the pitch.
Yeah. He doesn't know what that is. You want to talk about somebody
I know
giving
what
you
it-
an...
you know what's funny is I actually know that.
You know that more.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sees suckers.
Hold the
That's
microphone up
There's
to
a
him right
scrub
now.
on the pitch.
Michael.
Go.
And we're out. Thanks for
See, I
listening,
know-
guys.
I know that. I know that.
All right, guys. All right. No better way to end it there.
Later.